If an individual is in a car accident, what do they have? They have their phone on hand. They're not carrying around their desktop or PC. So it's incredibly important to have quality SEO so that you have the ability to rank. Otherwise, you're dead. They're never going to find you. So why is it important if you're a personal injury lawyer to really understand SEO at a deep level? Because if you don't, you can't evaluate the SEO agency that you're working on to see if they're doing the activities that will provide value and the results that you're wanting. You know, SEO is not something that you do and that it can have an immediate effect. It takes a little bit of time. It takes compounded work. It takes production of content. You need to know the broad understanding so that you can truly take your website to the next level. So I'm going to tell you about 4 main data points that really make an impact when it comes to SEO. So the first one's content. And what's happening is Google's becoming more and more saturated. There's more and more competition. So how do you separate yourself from your competitors? It has to be very thorough content. And the key factor here is it has to answer consumer intent. So the reason you want to look at the length of the content is because when you write longer form content, you can naturally answer multiple versions of intent. So if you're talking about a car accident, you could have steps to take after a car accident. You could have, accident statistics, how to hire a car accident lawyer. All of that plays into the length of content and making quality content. So it's a very important metric is to look at the length and quality. So at Rankings, how we do that, since we only work with personal injury attorneys, we've developed what we call a content sushi map. So when you think of sushi, when you go to a sushi restaurant, they give you the card to fill out and it has the sushi, and then you put a little check mark next to it. We've identified all of the main keywords that consumers are targeting in the personal injury niche. So when we're evaluating and diagnosing your content, we're actually going down the list just like a sushi document and marking off what needs to be improved, what needs to be created, so that we're ensuring we're creating content that reaches your target audience. So the second main data point that you need to look at when it comes to ranking in the search engines is the number of backlinks and the quality of backlinks that your website has. If you take a look at the search engines, the FindLaw directory is dominating the search engines for these very competitive terms. But one of the main reasons FindLaw is dominating is because they have over 1 million backlinks pointing to their site. So maybe these internal pages don't have very many links, but the overall authority of that site is really driving the search results. So you need to be concentrating on acquiring backlinks from high quality sites. The next data point you really need to be taking a look at is time on site. The amount of time that an individual is staying on the page. If you look at your traffic and you see that an individual's leaving the page after 15 seconds, they may not be getting the answer that they're looking for. And so when time on site comes into play, we're thinking about things that can keep a user there longer. So longer content, it takes a longer amount of time to read. Incorporating video to keep the user there and engaged. Also, images. Images are becoming tremendously important because it helps the user transition through the page. You need to be conscious of time on site because it's a very important metric that Google looks at to determine who should rank and who shouldn't. So the fourth data point you need to be looking at is search volume, keyword volume. So you want to write about topics that are actually getting searched by the consumer. So how do you do that? There's some tools that you can use. There's a tool called Ahrefs, and it will actually show you which pages of your competitors get the most searches. You can also go to sites like Avo that has contributor questions. You can see what actual consumers are asking. So you need to just be really conscious of the topics and the keywords you're using when producing content to make sure it's on point with your consumer. I'm an SEO expert, but the reason I'm thinking about this is to move the needle. I want you to understand and know what's right and what's wrong about SEO. I want you to be able to judge the performance of the SEO agency that you're working with to make sure that they're doing the right things. If you want to know exactly what's moving the needle by looking at data over hundreds of thousands of pages, we created a unique study that we hired a data scientist to evaluate what actually moves the needle. So head over to YouTube and subscribe to our channel.